Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Shadowrun Hong Kong, where we are still talking to Gaichu. I put a question to you then. If you had changed into a ghoul, what would you do? How would you improve yourself and learn to live with your condition? Wouldn't forget what it means to be human. No idea. That's a road I can't even consider. I've never been in your position. Plus, I don't think elves become ghouls. I think we become something else when we get that particular strain. Fair point. This is why I struggle with it. I know what I must eat, how I must live. The changes are not only physical, as I mentioned before. My mind is more instinctive now, and reasoning is more difficult. I tend to react quickly without a thought, but that also generally will turn the tide in my favor. Gaichu squares himself, nodding several times as if agreeing with his own internal dialogue. Warriors must learn to push their body and soul to the utmost limit. So too it is with me. But my body and soul are no longer that of a man. I must learn to use these differences as an advantage rather than a handicap. Perfection is not a destination, it is a journey. One must strive to become the purest form of oneself that one can be. If you killed two of them, why are they still hunting you? I know the answer to this, but we'll ask anyway. Gaichu does not answer immediately. He seems uneasy with the question, fidgeting with his fingers. I am not sure why that would make a difference. Can you explain what you are driving at? If you train with your unit so extensively, won't it be impossible to replace the ones you killed? Oh, I see. I think your mistake is in seeing this from a practical perspective. The problem is emotional, not mechanical. Folding his arms over his chest, Gaichu continues to explain. The nature of the Red Samurai assignments is such that losses are generally zero, or the entire team. In those rare cases where a Red Samurai's team suffer partial losses, the remnants of the impacted teams are shuffled together and undergo retraining. Sasaki and Aomori will undoubtedly be replaced. The problem is that I cannot be replaced. Simply put, I am not dead. Ordinarily, a missing Red Samurai would be considered dead for purposes of reorganizing teams, but Rinraku knows precisely what has happened to me. What's more, my failure to do my duty reflects badly on the unit. Others will undoubtedly resist joining my former squad, as it has been tainted. So until they can kill you, nobody wants to join their club. Yes, that is the case. They cannot move forward and rebuild the core of the unit unless I die, both because of their own expectations and the stain on their honor. Even if they accepted my decision, the rest of the Red Samurai would not. They have hunted me in Japan, Shanghai, and Beijing, and now I'm certain they hunt me here in Hong Kong. The cycle will continue endlessly for the foreseeable future. Such is the way of things. You sound as trapped in the past as they are. That's an awfully passive way. Wouldn't it be easier if you faced them down? Past as they are. What do you mean by that? They have been hunting me. I'm simply trying to make a new life for myself. I fail to see how that's not my duty. My doing. Um, One way or another, this will end with either you or them dead. You've got to take action. What do you believe I've been doing? I have not been allowing them to attack me out of goodwill. If you're as good as you claim, you should have been able to finish this by now. I think sentimentality has left you unable to finish them off. Ah, yes, because I'm such a weak-willed soldier of fortune that I cannot bear the killing of the last vestiges of my old life. His tone is mocking as he spits out his next word. Certainly that is more likely than the battle simply not going in my favor. It doesn't have to be a conscious decision. You're avoiding an all-or-nothing confrontation. Gaichu's halfway through pointing out an accusatory finger at you, but stops short as you speak. There may be some truth to what you say. I had not considered that my instinct to flee may be subconscious. I seek to perfect myself, my skills, and my abilities to combat. Perhaps this is not the path I would have walked when I was younger, but I have been a soldier for so long that I cannot imagine devoting myself to other trade. This does not mean I am tied inextricably to my unit. It simply means I am shaped by my history, as are we all. I appreciate your concern about my history and my unit, but I assure you I'm doing all right. I must learn to adapt my condition and lifestyle on my own. The time will come when they find me in Hong Kong. So what will you do about your unit when they come looking for you in Hong Kong? I am unsure. You have given me a great deal to consider, and I do not mean that lightly. There are several actions and possible outcomes I can foresee. I could, as I have before, relocate to another city, flee Hong Kong, travel to somewhere further afield. Lagos, perhaps Montreal. It would have to be someplace where Rin Raku's influence was minimal, where the unit's presence would be immediately noticeable. This has been my plan of action in the past. I could also keep a low profile staying here, hope that they are unable to find precisely where I am hiding. Undoubtedly, Shida would command the team to keep looking. I believe it would only be a matter of time before they found me. But if it were a sufficiently long time, they might be recalled. I could also confront them, draw them out into the open at a time and place of my choosing. They are nothing if predictable in their efforts to follow Red Samurai operational doctrine. That plan could succeed, but it could also put you and civilians at risk, and I'm unsure how I would draw them out in the first place. Bide your time, get out of Hong Kong. There's nothing wrong with that. I think this one. I'm unsure if that is wisest course of action. I'm going to need to think about this a great deal. Please let me think of this when and I will have an answer later. I'll talk to you later. I hope I didn't just kill a potential side mission for me, but well, we'll see. Ractor, you don't want to talk to me until we do the Ares thing. This is a new map too. You enter to find Wu stalking the floor silently, one hand held rigidly near his hip, the other flexing and unflexing it again and again. When he notices you, he nods once and goes back to his caged panther routine. What do you think about the last run? What do I think about it? Well, let me ponder for a second. He begins ticking off items on his fingers. We crashed a fancy party, disturbed the who's who of the Hong Kong trio scene, and fought a vampire. But you took it upon yourself to help the vampire become a vampire queen. That was an interesting choice. Not what Doc Shin Yang would want, but what does he know? He's only the guy that's paying us. But anyway, enough about that. Need anything else? You're going to wear a hole in that floor that way. Need something? I need to know you're not going to go on a rampage. Are you going to be okay? Yes, just trying to maintain. Pacing helps. Been thinking about Josephine Tseng, what she did to our family, what she did to Carter. His pace increases a bit and his tusks jut forward slightly. Josephine Tseng, goddamn Josephine Tseng. And I'm going to make her pay for it. All that thinking and pacing, that's what you came up with. You're going to make... Good to know. Don't patronize me, Killian. The woman hurt us, hurt me. Now the old Duncan is coming out to play. His eyes fell. Here's what we do. We walk into Tseng headquarters and ask for the boss. When she comes down, we grab her, take her somewhere quiet, ask her why she had Carter and those runners killed. Find out what happened to Raymond, whether he's alive or dead. What happens next is up to her. I think the direct method will result in a quick death. They'll never see it coming. That's why the plan's so beautiful. This is the way to go. My way. My way, Duncan? Yeah, my way. There's one way this is going to go. He catches himself. Understanding appears in his eyes. Oh, crap. That's what Ray used to say. Raymond Black, our benevolent dictator. No questioning his rules, no falling short of his expectations. It was his way or the wrong way. Or you'd get the full-on Raymond treatment. I didn't care to be on the receiving end of that, and I was more than once, that's for sure. You remember what happened a few years after we moved out of the squad into his house? The thing with Doubletray and Lockjaw when he accused us of relapsing into our old ways? Man, that was when Ray's authority finally got tested, and when I finally stood up to him. Yep, the way he handled that was part of the reason I eventually left. He just wouldn't listen. He couldn't hear a word you were saying. I'd never seen him so angry. It was a sight to behold, that's for sure. I didn't listen, he didn't listen, we butted heads, same as always. He smiles, it's filled with regret. But that one was the worst. Good thing you were there to stop it. Okay, Miss Vickers, we don't need to do things my way. No need for us to butt heads. His face settles an expression of resignation. He stretches, you can hear his joints crack. And on that note, I'm going to ask you to clear out. It's been another long day. I'm getting the feeling they're all going to be long days. Yeah, I'm getting that feeling too. Anyway, have a good night, Killian. I'll catch you tomorrow. Who thinks good people? As you step into Is0bel's cabin, she turns to face you. The desk that she's been working at is a mess. Food wrappers and computer expansion cards lie together in a heap. Is0bel herself doesn't look much better. Her eyes are badly bloodshot. Her lips have been drawn into a deep frown. You're back! Hey! She shoves a box of assorted mounting screws aside with her foot. What do you need? How are you holding up? Oh, I gave you a big cheerful thing. Oh, not great. I'll manage. Is there anything that I can do? I seriously doubt it. I appreciate the offer, though. When I unlocked these old memories, I told you that they were crystal clear, right? Every detail was perfect. It's still that way, and I think it always will be. Oh, I gave you the Dresden file. You gave yourself the Dresden files treatment. Oh, lovely. Oh, dear. Why? Because they've been stored as data in an archival format. They're never going to fade. They'll never grow less intense with time. It's like having an eidetic memory. I'm stuck with a perfect record of every shitty thing that I saw and felt during my childhood, and hell, it's not an easy thing to live with. Why not just lock the memories away when you're not using them? You have the key, just unlock them again when we need them. No, it doesn't work like that. I can't just lock and unlock them whenever I please. There's a period of adjustment after I unlock them. I have to unpack the memories, reconcile them with everything else that's going on in my head. It's disorienting, painful. If I lock these memories away again, it's going to be for the last time. Until then, I'm going to have to live with them. So if you've got questions about the walled city, go ahead and ask them. I should be able to give you some answers. Not all the answers, mind you, but something. Okay. Now that we've unlocked your memories, I have a question about the walled city. She runs the tip of her tongue over her lips and nods. A look of fierce determination seizes her. Go on. Ask me a question. I'm ready. How did you get out of there when you were a kid? How did you escape? Gobbet led me out. She heaves a sigh. Really? She must have been, what, 9 years old? You two have been tight for a long time, haven't you? Something like that. Go ahead and ask her about it if you want. I'm sure she'll be happy to brag about it. I'm sure she'll be happy to... Something like that. Go ahead and ask her about it if you want. I'm sure that she'll be happy to brag about it. But I think that we have more pressing matters to discuss. That's all for now. Can we talk about something else? Please, to be honest, almost anything else would be preferable. I have another question about the walled city. Go ahead and ask, then I'll do my best for it. Okay, no, okay. Any thoughts about that last run? I have to admit, I had a lot more fun in Repulse Bay than I thought I would. Parties aren't really my thing. I'd rather be slicing ice than cake. But how many people can say they went on a run to blackmail a rich guy and ended up fighting his vampire mistress? Nobody on Shadowlands would believe me if I told them the story, not even a little. I don't get why Xin Yang hired Shadowrunners. There are a dozen better ways to blackmail Ma. Get a Decker to plant evidence of embezzling. That's still Shadowrunning. Hire the Triad to crash his sets and intimidate his crew. Still Shadowrunning. Burn down a soundstage or two. Still Shadowrunning. The way I figure it, he wanted to hire us because he's friends with Ma. It's a messed up friendship, but it's there. I can't say as I understand why you'd want to teach a vampire to be a better killer, but okay. I mean, I understand the whole friends in low places angle. But we're talking about a vampire. They're dangerous. They kill people for food. I hope it doesn't come back to bite us in the ass. Anything else you wanted to know? I've got to go, Is0bel. Good, because I've had enough for one day. I'm tired. Reliving this stuff is exhausting. Come back later if you want. I'll have more time to unpack this stuff by then. Until then, please give me some space. And we're going to go talk to Gobbet. Gobbet glances up at the sound of your approach. A slight smile crosses your face. Heya, pal! She puts her hands on her hips, sending madness scurrying. Are you ready for your next lesson? In a bit. I wanted to ask you about something first. Yeah? She flips a tangled rope of hair back over her shoulder. Go ahead, then, if you need to ask. If you need to ask, ask. Any thoughts on that last run? Man, if every job we could get could be about going to fancy parties and stealing their food and booze, I'd be a happy camper. I don't understand why those Trid types get in their weird rivalries. I'm sure as hell wouldn't turn down money to help them blackmail each other, though. Listen, Seattle, I'm all for making allies where we can, but do you really think making somebody better at being a vampire is a good plan? I know she said she owes us, but come on, I don't know how trustworthy a leech is. Like, I like that we got paid, but I can't help feeling we've created a monster that's going to come back to haunt us later. Oh, come on! Kufang is adorable. You're adorable. Kufang is adorable. It's a wonderful combination. So, what do you want to chat about? Everybody's questioning my thing with helping the vampire. I'm ready for my... I got a question about Is0bel. Oh, yeah? Well, sure. Then ask away. She told me that you let her out of the walled city when you were kids. Care to fill in the details on that? Yeah, I guess I'm not surprised. Is has never been big on padding a story with unnecessary detail. Want to tell your side of the story? Seems that I've got a vested interest in the walled city these days. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll share. She taps her chin thoughtfully. To start that, you're going to need to know what the walled city was like when me and Is were kids. She didn't tell you anything about that, did she? She wasn't big on volunteering unnecessary information. Yeah, that's what I thought. She reaches down, absentmindedly strokes Mattis's silky coat. The rat chirps happily at her caress. Well, for starters, you should probably know that the walled city wasn't always as bad as it is now. It was always dangerous, but 10 years ago it was just a run-of-the-mill slum. Still safe enough that walking in didn't qualify as a suicide attempt. Keep going. I figured that that what I saw in there had to be the bottom of a downward spiral. You think it's the bottom. The bottom? What you saw? No, Seattle? When you went into the Lotus Den, you were on the outer perimeter of the walled city. What you saw earlier is the best that the walled city of today has to offer. As you go deeper toward the center, it gets a whole hell of a lot worse. Anyway, back when I was a kid, it was pretty much all like what you saw in the Lotus Den. Not exactly Victoria Harbor, but survivable if you knew what you were doing. Back then, I used to play in the walled city. Rat would lead me into all the nooks and crannies that grown-ups were too big to fit through. There was this other young shaman in there that I used to play with. His name was Happy or Lucky or something like that. He followed Pig. Nice guy, good card player. Obviously, none of this was a good idea. A teenage girl going into the walled city by herself, that's a recipe for disaster. I didn't realize any of this at the time, though. I loved playing in the alleys and crawl spaces of the walled city. It was fun. Is that how you met Is0bel? By exploring the walled city as a kid? Oh, yeah. Inside the wall, there are these districts. You were in one earlier when Chang sent you after Strangler Bow, the Lotus Den? Yes, I remember. How many districts are there? A lot. Some of them are much bigger than an apartment building. Some of them aren't much bigger than an apartment building. You'd be surprised how many people can cram into a single room when you have to. Is0bel and her family lived in the Mansion District. It's a sort of holding pen for refugees from the Middle East and Africa. Basically, anyone who isn't Asian, European, or goblinoid. It's less pleasant than it sounds. Why is it... There weren't any orcs or trolls in Is0bel's district? No, people like me and Duncan get their own districts in the walled city, regardless of their country of origin. Nice, cushy places on the outer perimeter of the wall. There are advantages to being big and strong, especially when everyone around you is too malnourished to fight back. Of course, the residents of the goblinoid districts all share a metatype or two. They've got something in common, a set of shared experiences to tie them together. Not so in the Mansion District. The only things that those people had in common was their skin color and the fact that they were living in crushing poverty. There wasn't even a common language for them to speak. It was a pretty rough place. Lots of infighting, lots of gang-on-gang violence. People did band together for protection, but there wasn't a lot of hope. Everyone lived in fear of being sent deeper into the slum toward the center. When you start getting dragged in that direction, you don't come back. Sounds like a charming place. That line right there reminds me of life in the Barrens. No, it doesn't. It probably would remind you of life in Chicago right now. Yeah, charming. And that's where I met Is0bel. It wasn't long before we were friends. She was interesting. I think that's why I let her latch on to me. The girl was smart and savvy, but cripplingly shy. She didn't belong in the walled city. No one really does. But with her, it was painfully obvious. She was like a little mouse crammed into a box full of weasels. It was only a matter of time before somebody snapped her up. So what happened? What led you to take her out of the walled city? Rat happened. She came to me in a dream, showed me that whatever was going bad in the walled city was getting worse. The whole place was rotting from the inside out, choking on bad key and lost hope. I decided to go inside one more time. If I found Is0bel, I'd offer to lead her out. If I didn't, well... She grimaces, spreads her arms. I get it. You don't have to explain yourself to me. Thanks. It isn't pleasant to think about, especially considering what a shithole the walled city is now. The truth of the matter is, if I hadn't pulled Is0bel out of there, she'd probably be dead by now. I get it. Someone did the same for me and Duncan once. She nods. Yeah, I knew you'd get it. And I did bump into her, and she did follow me, and Rat got us both out safe. So there you have it. Happy endings all around. What about the other people who stayed behind? That other shaman you knew? They went bad. Crazy. That pig shaman that I knew wound up going full-on toxic. It was horrifying. He burned himself out in an orgy of blood. Nasty business? And not for me. Toxic? What does that mean? When a shaman goes toxic, he goes bad. It's like if you invert the usual meaning of a totem, that's what a toxic shaman does. Dog shamans are loyal and friendly, like all good dogs are. A toxic shaman is rabid. They're both dog, but they're different aspects of dog. Get it? Yeah, and your pig shaman friend went toxic. That's what I heard. You don't want to know what happened to him, what he became. It was pretty bad at the end. Before the locals overwhelmed him, a lot of people died. What about Is0bel's family? She said that they were still in the walled city. Why didn't you bring them with you? You think I didn't want to? She sweeps a loose strand of her hair out of her eye, strand of hair out of her eyes. Look, it was going to be dangerous enough to get Is0bel out on her own. Dragging a whole family out with her would have been impossible. Why? Because they weren't like me and Is. They hadn't grown up on the streets. They were upper-class people back in Somalia before they immigrated to Hong Kong. They were hopelessly out of their element. Even if I had managed to find them, they probably would have done something stupid and gotten us killed. I hate to say this, but you made the right choice. Damn right I did. Even if I'd managed to convince them to come with us, they would have gotten caught. Yellow Lotus would have kidnapped them if they were lucky. If they were unlucky, the Thrill Gangs or the Organ Leggers would have gotten them. It wasn't worth the risk to even try. She sniffs. Besides which, Is0bel didn't want to bring her family. She wanted to get away from them as much as she did from the walled city. Never could get her to tell me why. I am suddenly horrified. Okay. So, yeah. You know what I was saying before about how I love Shadowrun's sense of humor? This is the other side. Shadowrun has some of the heaviest horror existential nightmares that I've ever run across in games. A lot of Shadowrunner's storylines are more abhorrent to me than a lot of the stuff in World of Darkness or Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu feels... I mean, a lot of the secrets man was not meant to know in the Lovecraft stuff are things that are common concepts in sci-fi now, or just outright true, such as the eventually all the universe will be destroyed and humanity is just means nothing to that. Yes, entropy is a thing. So Call of Cthulhu does not hit me as hard. Some of Lovecraft's stories do. But the overall arc of the Cthulhu mythos does not hit me hard. Shadowrun, when it stops being funny, starts getting emotional, starts getting to me. Anyway, on to a new video. See you in a little bit.